The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello, I'm your host Sylvia Anglin, filling in for Darren Jaime, and of course, you're watching the one and only interactive talk show bringing the best of the Bronx and the world right to you. First up in our legal corner, a new series on medical malpractices. Plus, it's another edition of the Bronx Can on BronxNet with the focus centered on autism. And parents have had enough of the low performance of schools in District 9 and are not backing down until there's immediate change. Also, the Kingsbridge Armory is being redeveloped, but one Bronx group wants to ensure the needs of the community are included in those plans. And finally, it's time for the Bronx's annual Unique Earth Fest, celebrating an afternoon of activities, entertainment, and even a visit from a few superheroes. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. Hello Bronxites, I'm your host Sylvia Anglin, and today is April 11th and you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York straight to your TV set. Feel free to give us a call at 718-960-7241 or send an email to open@bronxnet.org. We also want to let you know you can hit us up on Facebook by searching under Open BronxNet Television and Twitter by following our page at BronxNet TV and watch us live right now from the web at bronxnet.org. We start the show with our legal corner. Attorney and legal correspondent David Lesh concluded his employment discrimination series, and now he's shifting towards the laws that center on medical malpractice. First up on the series are the disastrous mistakes that can occur when a hospital emergency room is understaffed and overworked. David, as always, welcome to the show.
Nice to be back, Sylvia. Yeah, we concluded our employment discrimination series. I got some great feedback, but it's time to shift gears. For the next 2.5, 3 months, we're going to be concentrating strictly on medical malpractice, and I really felt that the best way to start is in the emergency rooms. Let's start with the emergency rooms. And when we're talking about malpractice that occurs because of emergency room malpractice, we're talking about traumas that occur, and that's the reason you go to the emergency room. You really never should go to emergency room just because you might necessarily be feeling sick. If it's not an emergency, you don't get treated at an emergency room. You go to a private doctor. If you don't have insurance, you go to a clinic. You try and keep the emergency rooms only for emergencies, and most often than not, trauma is the reason you're in an emergency room, and that's because of an external force. Something else has created some type of injury, and that's why you're there. And that's what we're talking about here: medical malpractice, emergency rooms, and trauma. Now let's talk about the players. Let's see who's in this game when it comes to emergency rooms. Well, you have the general practitioners or the doctors who see you when you first come in and diagnose you, right? You have the surgeons who do the repairs, who sew you up or do whatever else is needed, put a cast on, right? And then you have the medical intensivists, they're called. There's the doctors who monitor your progress to make sure you're doing okay while you're in the intensive care or wherever you are. Each one has a particular function. And in any one of those places, a medical malpractice can occur. There's something called the golden rule. It's the 60-minute rule. You need to have, if you have a trauma, you have 60 minutes from the time of the trauma to treatment. And if you don't get that treatment within the 60 minutes, there can be irreversible damage. So the first thing you have to make sure there's no medical malpractice is, were you treated within 60 minutes of that trauma? It's very, very important. And if a hospital emergency room or the staffing and somebody doesn't get you treated within 60 minutes and you have a trauma that needs that treatment and the 60 minutes has gone by and there's irreversible damage, there starts off your medical malpractice.
Are there cases when, obviously, if there's a multi-car pileup or the emergency centers in that particular area are too understaffed and there's too many trauma patients, are there cases where it does go outside of that 60 minutes?
All the time. That's one of the main reasons many times is failure to diagnose, it's failure to treat. That's one of the theories of liability against the doctor or the hospital. And speaking of theories of liability, there are several ways you can attack it. First, it's the fact that they don't diagnose you within the 60 minutes or any time. They don't diagnose you at all because they're just too busy. So they don't. And the second one is you don't get the right diagnosis. They say something's wrong with you when it's not really wrong with you. They're looking at a knee when they should be looking at, your elbow is really the thing that they should be looking at, or whatever it is. Okay, so that's the failure to really diagnose. Then it's when they're treating you, they actually perform the malpractice. They're going in to scope the knee when you're in there because of something, and they end up, they're looking at the ACL and they tear the posterior ligament while they're in there. It's actually they go in there and they do something that's wrong. That could be malpractice against the surgeon. And then again, it's the post-op. You're out, but no one's watching you. You're getting bed sores. You have an infection. They're not treating what's happening as a result of the surgery or whatever else, and now you have another malpractice. Those are theories. Those are theories more often against the doctor. But there's also malpractice against the hospital itself. Was the hospital understaffed? Did they cut corners? Did they, reserve Mondays for surgeries, for routine surgeries that they've already scheduled, where now there's not enough surgeons to come into downstairs to the emergency room and operate on the emergencies? Get the hospital for that. Remember, each hospital wants to be accredited. And there are certain standards that they must maintain to be accredited by the ACS. If it turns out that they're not meeting these particular policy requirements, well, you can bring an action against the hospital. Now, this is very important because, and it's something that I probably should say from the very beginning, you only have a certain amount of time to bring an action for any medical malpractice. And if you're in an emergency room and there is malpractice in that emergency room, well, there's a good chance you're in a city hospital. And if you're in a city hospital, you only have 90 days to file a notice of claim against the hospital. Most people don't know that. They wait past the 90 days, they come and see me, they come and see another attorney. It turns out that they're past the 90 days. That's a big problem. And if it's a city hospital, you only have a year and 90 days to actually bring the lawsuit. So it's 90 days to file a claim, a year and 90 to start the lawsuit. If it's not a city hospital, then you don't have to worry about the 90-day requirement, but you still must bring the action within 2.5 years. So there are statute of limitations requirements. Now, of course, if you're an infant, the statute of limitations may be told. This gets a little complicated. That's for an attorney to know. But in any event, it's very important that you get to somebody quickly to see what the time requirements are. Now, theories of liability. We got your theory of liability against the doctor. You have your theory of liability against the hospital. Now you filed your notice of claim. Hopefully you got your lawsuit started. What's the next thing that happens? Well, you need records. People come and see me and they say, well, my father or somebody was in the emergency room, they had an accident. I say, well, you got to get me the records. Got to get the hospital records. Now they say, well, they won't give them to me. Well, they have to give you the hospital records. You go there and you don't leave. You say you're going to file a complaint with the medical board. You are entitled to your hospital records. Let's get your records, because once your records are in possession of an attorney, that attorney is going to have. An attorney is not a doctor. The attorney has to give the records to his expert, his surgeon, his medical expert in the field of emergency room trauma, to look at it and say, hey, I'm looking through this. Wait a second. It took them 90 minutes to even see this patient. If they would have seen him within 30 minutes or her within 30 minutes, this never would have happened. So you need the records to get to the expert. So the expert's going to get the opinion back to the attorney, and then we'll tell the attorney there is clear malpractice here. They're not meeting the medical standards. They're deviating from what would be considered to be reasonable medical treatment. Therefore, there is medical malpractice, Mr. Lesh. I will be your expert on this case. Do you understand? So this is a whole process that takes place, but most people don't realize that the minute you enter that emergency room, whether it's through an ambulance or you walk in, records are taken immediately, and they ask you, how did this happen to you? What happened to you? What's your family history? Have you had any injuries to that leg before? Now, sometimes you're unconscious, that you can't even answer these questions, but there's a family member that they might be able to ask. Are they taking blood? Do they take blood quickly enough? Do they see there's an issue? Are they giving you adequate fluids? These are all issues that should be addressed in the hospital emergency room. And as we started off, and you were talking to the viewers, emergency rooms are tragically understaffed. And the physicians are overworked. I mean, it is similar to the TV series ER. I mean, you can see how they're running around. That's the way they really work. But it's not so happy-go-lucky, and everyone's not friends, and they're talking about their lifestyles. Usually there's not enough people in the Bronx emergency rooms or in New York City emergency rooms. It's because doctors, who are supposed to be there are off doing something else, or scheduling surgeries sometimes, that unfortunately for the patients who are in the emergency rooms, the surgeries are much more valuable to the doctors who are making money on the high-priced surgeries. So sometimes they're not on call, and they're not able to get downstairs into the emergency room facilities. And remember, each one of these ER emergency rooms are affiliated with a hospital. And the hospital has a medical school, Mount Sinai, wherever it is. Now, each particular ER has a different set of policies than the next hospital. Lincoln might have a different ER than Bronx Lebanon, which has a different ER than Bronx Municipal, and keep going down the line, then Einstein, and it just keeps going. So you don't know what you're getting. You don't know the people who are staffed. You don't know the policies. So the best advice I can give to you, if you go to an emergency room, and I'm telling you should only go if there's a trauma and if it's emergency. Don't try and get just general medical care at an emergency room. That's not where you're going to get good medical treatment. Okay, it's only for an emergency. What you got to do is you got to ask questions. What are you doing to me? Do you need to operate on me right now? Are you sure? Because if not, I want a second opinion. I have 2 second opinions, 2 surgeons. And what's the most important thing that you ask a doctor? Are you board certified? Okay?
Okay, so that's step 1 to the medical malpractice series is finding out if the doctor's board certified.
Board certified. It's one of the most important things. Is your doctor board certified? Now the thing is, here's the tricky thing. The emergency room trauma physicians are just general practitioners many times. They're not board certified in trauma. There is no such thing. They're board certified in orthopedics. They're board certified in neurology. That's their expertise, but they're not board certified in trauma. So what are you getting? You're just getting a doctor who, hopefully a general practitioner who looks at you, and the first person you see is this doctor and says, okay, let's get them up to orthopedics, neurology. So we got a lot to cover in the next 2 months. There's a lot of medical malpractice that goes on. It's not just emergency rooms, it's all over. So we'll be talking about it next week.
I can't wait to hear more about this.
Okay.
Up next, we'll learn about the various autism programs offered at the Bronx Y.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
Hi, I'm Sean Johnson of the 2008 U.S. Gymnastics team. I'm here with our friends from VeggieTales to say, be a player, get up and play an hour a day.
Besides gymnastics, how do you stay in great shape, Sean?
I love to dance and rollerblade.
Cool.
You don't have to be an Olympian to be a player. Just do the things you already love to do, like jump rope, ride a bike, or even play freeze tag.
Now that's something to flip for.
Well done! For fun ways to get healthy, visit www.smallstep.gov.
Hello there, we're back here on Open. In this month's edition of the Bronx Can Initiative on BronxNet, we focus on the health issue of autism. Autism is a neurological disorder that impairs social interactions and communication. It can affect information processing in the brain by altering how nerve cells and the synapses connect and organize. The Bronx YMCA is one of several New York organizations that has programs dedicated to autism awareness, and with us now to talk further on those programs and their upcoming first annual golf outing is Aquatics Director Christine Aleman. Welcome.
Thank you.
So can you briefly give me an overview of autism? I know I just spoke about autism, but briefly give Bronxites, what is autism?
Well, autism is a mental disability that can impair on a total different scheme. We have the mildly autistic who blend in with the normal community and you really wouldn't be able to tell that they have a disability, and then you have the severely autistic who cannot speak and only go off of verbal cues, and you have to be very physical with them in order to teach them certain things. So autism is a little difficult to define because of that reason.
But the Bronx YMCA is offering programs and for parents and children to who are autistic. What kind of programs are they offering?
Well, the two main programs that we offer right now are the Respite program and the Adaptive Aquatics program. Respite is a place where we have autistic adults and they have an opportunity to work and they get a wage in order to work. Now, we have them doing very low-level things, but it gives them a sense of responsibility in the community and, you know, of belonging. The Adaptive Aquatics program is a program that we offer for children and adults that we are teaching them how to swim. And this program is geared mainly towards the severely autistic because the mildly autistic usually, like I said before, blend into the community and we can put them in regular swim programs. The Adaptive Aquatics program focuses on healthy living and having the public, the autistic public, exercising as well as learning how to swim and building their confidence so that they can move on and do other things and become confident in other aspects of their lives.
How long has the Bronx Y had this program?
For longer than 12 years. I've been with the Bronx Y for 12 years and it was already there before I got there.
And as a person who's been with the Bronx Y for 12 years, how have you seen the success of this program?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about the Bronx Y and also about Adaptive Aquatics. So we go through spurts of it being very big and then it kind of dies down and not too many people are attending. So we're just trying to get the word out there. This is a free program for the public and we would like everybody to come in and experience this and take part in what we are offering.
As far as joining the program, what do parents or kids, possibly parents sitting at home who are watching this and they have a child or know someone who suffers from autism, what should they do?
They should just come in and say that they're interested. They don't have to bring any papers. We need nothing to verify that they're autistic. Just come in and say, hey, I have an autistic child. I would like to participate in some swim lessons. What's available to me?
So how many swim lessons are they guaranteed, or is it until the child learns how to swim? How does that work?
Well, we work on 8-week programs, so they can re-register every 8 weeks and continue until they feel that they've gotten the service that they were looking for.
So this year, is the program full or is it on an ongoing basis?
It's on an ongoing basis. So our next session begins on April 30th, and from there the 8 weeks will trickle down for the rest of the year.
And what are the class sizes like?
We have a 1-to-4 ratio and we have a maximum enrollment of 8. We offer the children's program on Tuesday and Thursday evenings and also Saturday afternoons, and the adults on Friday evenings.
And are most of the people, do most of the people who go through the program, do they come back and to the Y to swim? What's the final steps to the process?
Well, it depends. If the parent is really invested in the YMCA, then they usually become members and they do practice swimming with their children. For the parent that's just really looking for an activity for the child to be in, then they may come 2 to 3 times a week and they'll continue for the rest of the year.
So this is a great activity. We're in spring, summer's coming. This is a great activity for parents and children alike to join in at the Y.
Absolutely.
So you guys are having a golf outing, your annual golf outing coming up. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure, it'll be on April 23rd, and the golf outing is we're raising money for the Strong Kids campaign. It's one of the biggest fundraisers that we're having. We have 2 yearly, and the Strong Kids campaign is a campaign where we raise money to offer financial aid to anybody who cannot afford to become a member or to participate in our program. So we're hoping to get a really big turnout so that we can offer as much financial aid as the Bronx deems necessary.
So I know each program within the YMCA has like a budget that you guys have to meet for the Strong Kids campaign. How's Aquatics doing?
We actually just started the campaign, so we're about 1/3 in right now.
And at the end of the year, is it December 31st? Does the campaign end, or does it roll into next year?
No, December 31st. We're our fiscal year is January 1st to December 31st.
Okay, and so if people are interested in getting involved in this Strong Kids campaign golf outing, what should they do?
They should contact Deborah Adams at the Bronx YMCA to reserve a ticket.
And this event is happening on the 23rd. It's an all-day event, and where will it be held?
I believe it's going to be held behind Orchard Beach,
the Split Rock at Pelham Bay.
Yes.
Okay, and everyone's open. What if I don't have golf clubs? Can I just come out there and support?
Yeah, we'll have things there for everybody.
Perfect. That sounds great. Thank you so much, Christine, and we wish you all the best.
Have a great day.
There's much more on Open right after this.
Okay, now you ready? Now, just like I showed you.
Yeah.
Now push in the clutch, and gently shift it in the first gear.
I remember, okay.
Okay, that was good. Honey, look this way, look this way. Honey, hit the gas a little bit more. Hit the gas. Oh! Okay. No, I didn't put your hands on the wheel. Hey, honey, it's okay. You're doing great. You're driving. And once you just pull over right here. That's perfect. Brake.
Thank you, Dad.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number 1. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live United for Education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Do you wear this?
Did you find the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes. The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
Hello viewers, remember this is a live and interactive talk show, so join in on the conversation by calling 718-960-7241 or send us an email at open@bronxnet.org. The Kingsbridge Armory Redevelopment Alliance, a group that consists of dozens of clergy and church groups, have made their voices heard. They want the new deal the city has made to revitalize the Armory to benefit the community and not to cater to big businesses. They want the space to include art programs, job training, as well as a new school. Pastor Maricela Arriza, member of the Alliance and Urban Family Empowerment Center, and member Alice McIntosh are on set to explain how they are making sure the plans for the Armory stay true to the community. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning. How are you?
So, can you tell me, how did the Alliance come about? Like, what was the inception? What pushed you guys to create this alliance for the Kingsbridge Armory?
Well, CARA, which is the Kingsbridge Armory Redevelopment Alliance, has been around for about 17 years. This is a battle that really grew out of overcrowding in schools, and a group of youth organizers came together and wanted to figure out a way to speak to the issue of overcrowding in schools. You had schools at that time that had sometimes 35 or 40 students in a classroom. You had students who were having classrooms outside in the hallways of schools. And so they looked at the Kingsbridge Armory and thought, wow, this is a great space, a huge space, and there's nothing happening there. And so that movement to address overcrowding in schools is really what started CARA about 17 years ago.
So today CARA is working towards, I know the Armory is being used for different events now. So what's the next step for CARA? What is CARA working on now?
Well, at the moment we're waiting to hear which developer the EDC has chosen. On March 22nd, RFPs, the mayor sent out a request for proposals in January, and all of those proposals were due on March 22nd. And so now it's just a waiting process. The EDC, Economic Development Corporation, has to choose a developer. And they have certain criteria that they use to choose a developer. And many, many developers submit proposals about what they envision for the Kingsbridge Armory, for redeveloping that armory. So now we wait. We think that the EDC will choose a developer within the next 3 to 4 months. And once that developer is chose, we look forward to having a say, having a voice at the table to decide how that armory will be redeveloped.
So, Pastor Arriza, you are part of the clergy portion of the redevelopment and the community voice of the Armory. What is the clergy saying? What is your stand on the Armory currently?
We're part of the community. We're for the community, by the community, and in the community. We want the best for our community. I live a few blocks away from here. I want to know what's going on, what's going to happen. Not only for me, for my children, what I am giving up in this development of the Armory. What are they offering? We want to be part of, not only because we're clergy, but because we hear it from the people. I work for Urban Family Empowerment Center, and I get, we have a job clinic. We have people coming every day and prepare for that job that we don't have. So we want at the Armory, whoever is coming, to be responsible enough so to provide for the community the jobs that we need, and to assure the community that we're not going to stay in poverty. On the contrary, we want to send an example that we could do this together. If they're responsible enough to make us part of the whole plate, so we could sit down and tell them, this is what we need, and this is how we want to work. We're willing to work with you guys. If you're willing to give something back to the community, and to listen to what are the important areas of needs.
The bigger question is, have they invited you guys in to the discussion, or are you sort of on the fringes of whatever's going on here?
Well, presently, no developer has been chosen at the moment. The last process that we went through with the developer was about 2 years ago, and there was a company called Related that was interested in developing the Kingsbridge Armory. And the EDC, the city, and all of the developers who submit proposals understand that CARA is a force to be reckoned with. So it's already known that we represent the community of the Northwest Bronx. So any developer that's chosen understands that they have to sit down at the table with CARA. Now, how well those negotiations will go, whether they're going to be willing to have sustainable talks where CARA is a part of the process throughout the process, that remains to be seen. And it depends on which developer is ultimately chosen.
So right now, the RFPs are in, they're being reviewed.
Yes.
What's the next step? How long will this process take?
Well, like I said, we hope that the EDC chooses a developer by the end of the summer. So that's within the next 3 to 4 months. And then there's an environmental impact study that's done. And once that study is done, there's a hearing. So the community has an opportunity to come to a hearing and listen to what the developer plans to do in terms of environmental impacts. So environmental impacts are things that are going to affect the environment, outdoor air, traffic patterns, what kinds of impacts is the community going to have in terms of construction and dust and dirt. And so we go and we have an opportunity to ask the developer, how are you going to deal with increased traffic? How are you going to deal with air quality issues as you tear down things and as you move things in and out of the community in terms of construction? So that's really step one of the process. The second part of the process is the land use process, which is the ULURP process. And that process takes about 3 to 6 months. And there are various junctures throughout that process where the developer has to get approved by the community board, by the borough president, and various other entities, the city council. And community members have a chance at each juncture of that process to come out to a hearing and talk about and voice our opinion about what's happening in that stage of the process. And so the community's voice is heard at each stage of the process before you move to the next stage.
Okay.
So that's where the community has leverage and power to come out to those hearings, let your voices be heard, and really hold the developer to the fire and say, what are you doing at this stage of the process? What are you doing that's going to benefit or that's going to hurt our community, and how can we be involved in that process? So that's really where the community has an opportunity to really get involved in how this process moves forward.
The Armory is a 180,000 square foot fortress. What do you guys hope to see happen with, I know CARA probably has, you're interested in the Armory, the redevelopment of the Armory moving in a particular direction. I know there were talks of putting in a mall, various different, using it for various different venues. What does CARA hope as a community to have a sustainable future in the Armory? What do you guys hope to happen?
Well, one thing we don't want is a mall. We don't need another shopping mall. We have small businesses, we have mom and pop businesses, we have a flourishing and a thriving business community in the Northwest Bronx. And we don't need a mall or some huge big box store coming into our community and putting our small businesses out of business. So we envision a redevelopment at the Armory that includes community space where our children can come and use the space for various things, for maybe dances on Friday nights, maybe movies, maybe some sort of sports. We also envision living wage jobs, and that is jobs that pay at least $10 per hour so that our residents have meaningful work that has good pay. We also envision business space, entrepreneurial space, where businesses can come and use space. So for example, if you're a small business and you need to have a meeting, there's a space that you can rent for a small fee where you can come in and have office space, have a computer, have phones, where you can conduct business if you're a small, growing, or a startup business. We also envision the Armory being a space that's green. We want a green Armory. So we want responsible redevelopment that considers state-of-the-art practices in terms of greening. And we also are very interested in having some sort of school. The Board of Ed has already said that the Northwest Bronx is in need of a middle school. So we envision some kind of school being built on the grounds of the Armory or adjacent to the Armory that deals with this issue of overcrowding in the Bronx.
So if people at home want to find out more about CARA and want to find out more about what's going on, where should they log on to?
Well, they can log into or find information at northwestbronx.org, and you spell out Northwest Bronx, or you can log on to ourarmory.org.
For more information?
For more information, yes.
Thank you, ladies. Students and parents and teacher advocates have come together to demand change in one of New York's failing school districts. Find out more right after this. Thank you, ladies.
The Bronx is the closest borough in New York City to Indian Point.
Surrounded by a group of children from the Mashalu Montefiore Community Center, Bronx Assemblywoman Naomi Rivera held a public hearing expressing concern regarding Indian Point nuclear facility, and more specifically, the lack of a comprehensive evacuation plan in case of an emergency.
Almost all of New York City is within a 50-mile radius of Indian Point. Yet our city has no evacuation plan in place to respond to a natural or man-made emergency.
The current emergency plan at Indian Point covers a 10-mile radius, which, considering Indian Point's location, leaves millions of Americans in danger. During the hearing, Assemblywoman Rivera publicly released her letter requesting local, state, and federal government's action in safeguarding New Yorkers beyond the current 10-mile evacuation zone.
We must learn from the lessons of Fukushima. Within 5 days of the tsunami triggering the nuclear catastrophe, the radiation traveled 160 miles.
She also spoke on the importance of distributing potassium iodine pills during a nuclear emergency, which will help reduce panic and conduct safer evacuations. And Dr. Erwin Redlener, the director of the Columbia University's National Center for Disaster Preparedness, stated that Indian Point's current plan is completely inadequate.
If ever faced with the need for large-scale emergency evacuation, existing plans do not adequately reflect basic, widely accepted knowledge of radiation spread, human behavior, transportation and egress challenges in terms of getting out of the region.
Reporting for BronxNet, this is Victoria Pavlova.
When it's time for lunch, a sandwich is a quick and easy choice. And with the right ingredients, it can be good and good for you. So I'm here today to see who can build the ultimate sandwich. All right, when the time is up, our judges will give you their scores. When it's time for lunch, a sandwich is a quick and easy choice. And with the right ingredients, it can be good and good for you. So I'm here today to see who can build the ultimate sandwich. All right, when the time is up, our judges will give you their scores. Ready, set, go! Okay, Jason starts out with a multi-grain roll. Ooh, Allison stuffing her pita with, yes, spinach, a great source of iron. Jason isn't skipping on the protein, adding plenty of smoked turkey, just like Allison's putting the finishing touches with crispy red bell peppers for a dose of vitamin A. Time! It looks like we have a tie. We'll need to call in our special guest referee.
Now these are what I call quick, delicious lunches. Whole grain breads, a whole variety of ingredients. There are so many different ways to build delicious, healthy sandwiches. These two get high marks in every category. I'd say you're both winners. America.
Let's get healthy together.
Now, Krista, make sure you stay with her the whole time. She's new to the country. This is her first day. This is a brand new country. It's a whole different culture.
Gonna be okay.
But now make sure you stay with her the whole time. I'll be here right after school to pick you up.
Okay, Mom.
Okay, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ignore my mom. She's so annoying. She's totally freaking out about this whole thing. She freaks out about everything. She always does that. Ugh. Ignore my mom. So, ready for your first day in the Wicked Castle of Doom? I mean, like, seriously, it's so boring. I don't know how they could put us through this, like, every single day. How many schools do you have in your village? None.
We're back here on Open. The New Settlement Parents Action Committee recently led the 26 Schools in 26 Days campaign, fighting for reform in one of the city's lowest performing school districts, 9. For the past 7 years, this district has been designated in need for improvement, and parents and teachers as well as students are demanding change. With us now to tell us more are members Lynn Sanchez, Michelle Reyes, and Juana Gonzalez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you all are parents who have had enough.
Yes.
Can you tell me, how did it get to this point?
Let me tell you a little bit about the Parents Action Committee. We're a group of parents and guardians and community members that are dedicated in improving the education of our children. And we have had several meetings to discuss the issues, and we came down to the fact that we need to develop a plan to improve the schools.
So in developing the plan, what have you found along the way with the Board of Ed, the school administration, and even other parents?
We found that there's a need, that our schools are failing. We found we went to CEC meetings, we spoke to elected officials, and there needs change, and we're ready to change it.
So you guys had this 26 Schools, 26 Days campaign. What was this about?
It's like my experience as a parent. It's like I was talking to some of the parents, and when we went to PS 58, and some of them, they were surprised. They didn't heard about the lower performance that the school was having. And then I was talking to them as my point of view as a parent, and telling them, what should we do as a parent? And I told them, like, I'm involved in PAC, that's Parent in Action. So I was like, to me, it's like I don't want nobody else to tell me what's going on afterward. It's like I want to be part of it. That's what I joined.
So as far as the low performance, this stuff isn't published, it isn't out there. Why aren't parents knowing that their district is low performing, or their school in their district is in the needs to improve category?
So, like, for example, what Juana just said about visiting the schools, like when we were visiting the 26 schools, parents are shocked, right? So they don't know what's going on, or they don't understand what's going on. And sometimes, at least in my opinion, it's to the school's best interest to not inform. So you'll have principals who want to save their jobs, teachers who want to save their jobs because, you know, this is their living. And it's hurtful to others, and people just don't understand that the school is low performing, and there's many different reasons why. So with the 20 Schools campaign, what we did was we went out to inform folks, inform guardians, parents, letting them know that, you know, this is a very, very big district with many schools, and about half of these schools are low performing, and we just wanted to put the word out so people do know.
So as your next steps, your next action steps, what are you guys doing to help bring those schools up from needs improvement to where they're getting a better grade in the Board of Ed's eyes, and your children and the students are receiving a better education?
Okay, on April 28th, we're planning to have a District 9 Rising Community Forum. And we're going to get together with parents, guardians, elected officials, anyone that wants to come and voice their opinion, and we're going to work on strategies in improving education.
There have recently Walcott removed some schools that were slated to be closed in Brooklyn, and these schools improved. They went from, some cases they went from B to A schools, some cases they went from underperforming to performing at a higher level. What are you guys looking to this as a map to sort of push you along your journey? Have you reached out to those schools yet?
Well, what we're trying to do is, because like the Department of Education has their agenda made already, so we're trying to, you know, go higher. Like, you've had all this time to fix these schools, fix the district, right? So why is District 9 a low performing district for 7+ years? Why? No answer. So we want to get answers from a higher up, right? So we want to go to the state. We want to find out, what is the state doing to help the district improve? You know, how can the state work with the parents of District 9? How can the state work with the community of District 9? And that is, you know, working with the parents, teachers, principals. How can we all, as a community, sit at the same table and come up with a plan and saying, okay, these are the plans for the next 2 years or whatever amount of years, and this is how we're going to make the school better, right? We're going to do X, Y, and Z. So our plan is to, like Michelle said, to have this forum April 28th. We're going to have many, many people there. And then from there, the goal is to take it as high as we can.
So if I'm at home and maybe my child's not going to school in District 9, but I'm interested in what you guys are doing, how should they reach out to you, contact you, join your movement? So Sasha Warnerberry is our organizer, and there's many other organizers, Julia Allen, Dino as well. But you can contact us at 718-716-8000. I believe extensions 140 and 149. We also have a Facebook account, so it's New Settlement Parent Action Committee on Facebook. And we have different meetings throughout the month on different issues. You know, school safety is a meeting that we have every third Tuesday of the month. We have the District 9 meeting that we have every second Tuesday of the month. You can come out, come join us. You know, we have workshops around different issues, immigration, how to work and speak to police officers in the street. So it's an organization that works on various things, but currently our campaign is 26 schools in 26 days in District 9.
And we're not only focusing on District 9, we're focusing on all schools in New York City, so they're welcome to come. And
That's
please
important.
come too.
So your forum is what day again?
April 28th.
April 28th, and elected officials,
or different
parents,
organizations,
teachers,
churches, parents,
students.
So everybody will be in attendance. Thank you, ladies, and I wish you all the best.
Thank
you very much.
One of New York City's biggest Earth Day events is taking place right here in the Bronx, featuring a few eco-avengers. We'll be back with more right after these messages.
Look at this guy. What are you gonna do, kid? Go home. It's hopeless. Yeah, dude, do something with your life. Leave. You're looking stupid, man. Give it up.
And so the king ordered his men into battle, and even though he was no longer acting in their best interest, they followed obediently. But what if they didn't? What if they just refused? What if selfish leaders got no support? What if people had the courage to stand up when something wasn't right? What if the government didn't just serve a lucky few? What if it was designed and run for all the people, no matter what race, color, or creed? What if we didn't put up with anything less? What if?
Now, Krista, make sure you stay with her the whole time. She's new to the country. This is her first
Mom,
day. This is a brand
Mom,
new country.
Mom,
It's a whole different
it's gonna be
culture.
okay.
Now, make sure you stay with her the whole time. I'll be here right after school to pick you up.
Okay, Mom.
Okay, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ignore my mom. She's so annoying. She's totally freaking out about this whole thing. She freaks out about everything. She always does that. Ugh. Ignore my mom. So, you ready for your first day in the Wicked Castle of Doom? I mean, like, seriously, it's so boring. I don't know how they could put us through this, like, every single day. How many schools do you have in your village? None.
that talented.
You're not attractive.
Too fat.
You're too short.
Too old. Why don't you just give up?
Give up.
Give up. Just give up.
Welcome back. For the past 5 years, Grow NYC Waste Management and local community groups have helped put together the Get Green South Bronx Earth Fest, the largest Earth Day event in the South Bronx and one of the largest in the city. The goal is to teach the community, especially the youth, the importance of recycling and being good protectors of the environment. Throughout the day, there will be food, prizes, and recycling Olympics. With us now to tell us more is Rachel Amar of the New York City Waste Management, John Johnson representing Grow NYC, and Global Man, the Eco Avenger. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So can you take me through what will parents and Bronxites see at this event?
Well, it's going to be a great event. We'll have the Recycling Olympics, which is the first time we're going to be having it in the fifth anniversary year of ours. Where you're going to have the Boogie Down Sortathon, you're going to have the recycling relay games, you're going to have the great MGP toss, which is the metals, glass, plastics toss. So it's going to be a lot of great things, and it's going to be a wonderful event. We have a fantastic stage show. And that will include eco-themed music and dance performances. And we actually have a wonderful guy that's going to be there, Arnold's World. It's going to be edutainment all about the environment. So we welcome people to come out. And one thing I want to definitely remind people is to bring their old electronics and textiles. So any electronics you got, televisions, computers, cell phones, and all those things you can bring down, as well as old clothes, shoes, hats, belts. We're going to be recycling all of these things. So,
oh, wow.
And you get a prize if you do bring those things through.
So where will this event be held?
It's to be at St. Mary's Park. That's on 147th Street, East 147th Street, and St. Anne's Avenue.
So how, from what time to what time will the event run?
It's going to go from 12 p.m. to 4 o'clock, 12 to 4.
So if I'm interested in joining the Recycling Olympics, what time do I need to be there?
Be there at 12 o'clock, sharp. I'll be expecting to see you.
And how many events will the Olympics have?
I think we have about 4 or 5 different games that's going to be going on throughout the entire event. We also have boat rides that Rocking the Boat is going to be taking folks out on. We have a shuttle bus. I think it's a clean air transportation vehicle. I think by BOEDC, the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. They're going to help us with that. So we're going to be shuttling people back and forth from St. Mary's Park to the waterfront. We'll actually go out on free boat rides.
Perfect. Rachel, can you tell me what is Waste Management's connection to this event, and what can Bronxites do as far as recycling is concerned?
Sure. Waste Management started this event in an attempt to give back to the local South Bronx community. There were no large Earth Day events happening in the South Bronx. Plenty of small Earth Day events happening in local parks, which are just as important. But I felt that it was very important to bring together a lot of the citywide and local community-based organizations for something that would benefit the South Bronx, because traditionally a lot of events are geared towards Manhattanites. So I worked along with Andrea Schaefer from City Matters and the Office of Recycling Outreach and Education and Grow NYC, and a lot of the local community groups, including Betances. And we got together and just decided on starting Get Green as a way to promote the culture of the South Bronx and engage the youth, because everyone knows young people are the best at learning and then also teaching others. So in terms of what we want to tell our youth, we just want to teach them the importance of recycling. It is about the present, but it's also about the future. So it's allowing them to learn that recycling and caring for the environment is a good thing, and it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves because there's a lot of focus, you know, on many other things that are going on typically with children. So
it's important for Bronxites and even South Bronxites youth to understand we must protect and save our planet.
It's important for all young people, but we're focused on the South Bronx.
Speaking of saving our planet, who is this sitting right here?
I am Global Man, Eco Avenger, and I am the Bronx superhero.
So you're a Bronx superhero. Will you be at this event?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be there. I'm there every year, helping to promote the education of taking care of the earth, and not only taking care of the earth, but supporting our community of the Bronx, which is the largest borough in New York City, and unfortunately the most underrepresented in regards to saving aspects of recycling in the city. So we really want to promote the educational process of giving to the community and the residents of the Bronx that we believe in you and we want to continue to support your green spaces in the Bronx.
So Global Man, if I'm sitting at home, I'm a kid, I'm wondering what can I do? What's the little things that I can do per day to help save my environment and to be eco-friendly? What should I do? Well,
for most people, even young people, as Rachel said, that our young people are the best stewards to education. We are importantly trying to give that back to the young people so that when they get older, they have some place to be proud of. And at home, just your small part at home, from recycling as far as separating your products at home, from your bottles, your cans, your plastics, your bags, finding places to take your shopping bags back to the local supermarkets that accept bags. Your little part helps in making sure that the carbon footprints are not just, set out in this community by throwing things into wasteland areas or dumping sites. So we want young people to kind of just take a little part and be a part of that experience.
Perfect. And can you tell me what day is this event and what time will this event be running?
April 21st, next Saturday, from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock at St. Mary's Park.
And you will be there with your Eco Avengers.
Yes, that's correct. And a few other superheroes that will be there as well, and people out there supporting the community as much as possible.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure coming into your homes. We'd like to thank our guests for joining us and especially you, our viewers, for tuning in. You can catch tonight's Recable Cast at 10 p.m. on Channel 67 or Verizon Channel 33. And of course, you can catch a new episode this Friday with Rena Valentine at 10 a.m. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay, that was good. Oh, honey, look this way. Look this way. Honey, hit the gas a little more. Hit the gas. Oh, okay. No! I didn't put your hands on the wheel. Hey, honey, it's okay. You're doing great. You're driving.